are good. Good. We're all set, Mr. Chairman.
Are you already recording?
Yes, Chris is in the back.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good morning. We're the 2021 Equalization and Review for Union County. We've been appointed by the County Commissioners to hear any and all taxpayers with their concerns or complaints regarding the valuation of the property for tax purposes. Property owners appearing before the Board of Equalization and Review have the right to a fair and equitable hearing. The Board of Equalization and Review has been charged with ensuring that the proper legal principles have been applied in a valuation dispute for tax purposes. And here's the format. The clerk calls the case and locates the property. The appellant presents his or her case. The assessor's office offers their defense. Both parties will be given an opportunity to conclude their comments. All questions should be directed to me or to the board. The taxpayer will be notified in writing of the board's decision. By statute, the burden of proof is on the taxpayer to demonstrate that the assessment is erroneous. After the testimony phase, then we'll go into the deliberation phase. You're welcome to stay, you're welcome to leave. No comments will be heard from the county or the taxpayer at that point. All right, let's begin the hearing.
Tab number 1, parcel ID number 09234-100, Maggie Charles Paul.
Good morning, Mr. McGee.
Good morning. I'm here to ask you to reconsider the evaluation of the property. Right? And, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Continue on.
Okay. I'd like to point out factors that you probably did not consider, like the crime in the area. I think you already read what I wrote in, right? Did you read it?
We just got it.
Huh?
We just got it.
You just got it?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm surrounded by 12 apartments, and 3 properties, and there's 4 apartments on each property. That's 12 rentals. With the landlords don't live in that. They're taking that and multiplying that by 4, which is the average family number. It's 48 people in that small area. Let's see.
You're right behind Miss Tucker, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I got just about surrounded by these apartments in there, and also I have a trash can. You see that trash can there? That's a dumpster. That's emptied at about 3:30 in the morning, twice a week. Noisy. The lights, when trucks comes in, his lights shine right into my windows in the house. He picks that thing up and makes noise, a lot of noise, wakes you up. About an hour later, another trash cup truck comes in and picks up the recycles. Right. That their van sitting there, been sitting there for over a year. Almost like it's abandoned. Right. These 2 buses right over here are usually backed up to the curb here, and they come all the way out to the street. And that's facing my living room window. Those buses are 8 feet wide and 10 feet tall. Makes like a wall The crime in the area is it's infected with crime. My house is broken into, my garage, the outbuilding, the greenhouse, they stole the heater out of the greenhouse, stole the cover off the car. I don't know what else. And I don't know how many lawnmowers I lost in the area. I'm talking about the location, not the square footage of this. It's not located at the right place. You know. What else? You hear gunshots middle of the night. They wake you up in the wee hours of the morning. This is not unusual. When it happens, you try to estimate how close is the shooter and in what direction is he shooting. You ask yourself, is the shooter shooting at my house? You don't put a light on or you don't go near the windows, right? The crime in the location is like a plague. It's a crime-infested area. The dumpster, like I said before, gets emptied about 3:30 in the morning. And it's open 24 hours a day, this dump, 7 days a week, including holidays. And it's free. Everybody comes there and dumps their stuff, right? The most active time to dump your trash is after dark and early morning before daylight. Be careful, the sliding door makes a terrible noise. It gets picked up twice a week, like I said before. The trash truck makes an unbelievable noise. The city of Monroe has an ordinance, no picking up trash before 7 a.m.
How long have you lived there, Mr. McGee?
What's that?
How long have you lived there?
Oh, 30 plus years.
30 plus, okay.
Yes.
Now, you see the county has put a tax value on your house.
Yeah, it was,
So what do you think the value of your house is?
I don't think it's worth that kind of money. I mean, if you have somebody that's interested at that price, bring them on.
Okay. Ray, you got any questions for Mr. McGee?
No, other than the factors you expounded on, is there anything major wrong with the house?
Oh, yeah. I'm
mean,
working on it
other than
all the
screen
time.
door,
I've been
this
working
and
on it for 30 years.
Okay. All right, that's all I have, Randy.
Mike, you have any idea when that house was built or constructed?
No, that was constructed before my time.
I just wonder, I know those houses on Church Street are probably, could be anywhere from 1900s to 1950s in most situations. But,
Yeah, I think this is like 1908 or 1912.
okay.
It was before my time. And it continuously needs work, you know.
Oh, sure.
It,
Yes,
just
sir.
the painting alone is a problem,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, if you don't mind, we'll hear from the county and then give you a chance to ask questions again if you'd like.
Okay.
Thank you. Hey, Robin, Belma, I don't have anything from the county in my section here.
I think if you only provided that piece of paper.
Yeah, I mean, I have my copy here.
Mr. Chairman, will you allow me to make copies of this?
Let's do that.
Results?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Would you like me to wait for Robin to come back, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. So just to answer your question, house was built in 1912. It's a large house, 4,576 square feet. We have it in fair condition,
Say it again, how many square feet?
4,576.
Okay.
So it's a large house for the area, built in 1912, like I said. We have it in fair condition. I did stop at the property and drop off the sales comparison report to Mr. McGee yesterday, so at least from the outside, I felt fair condition was appropriate, just from what I could see. I did make a correction to the garage listing. So originally, we had $232,000 on the property, and I corrected the garage, and it dropped it down to $214,000, which is the current value of the property. Once we get the sales back, again, it's a large house. There aren't many sales of homes that are really above 3,000 square feet in downtown Monroe. So you'll see the ones I chose are in the 3,000 to 3,500 range. And really the biggest difference is this house is in fair condition. I chose comps that had the least amount of renovations that I could find. A lot of the larger ones have been renovated, so of course I didn't use those. And that sales comparison report showed a value of almost double what we have on the property now, just under $400,000. So while I understand Mr. McGee's issues with that area, I explained to him that those, with the exception of the trash can, because that's right next door to him, some of those things, the apartments and some other things, if those affect the value, they will show up in the other sales. The sales are right near his house, relatively close. So if they do affect the market, then they will show up in those sales.
Okay. Ray, any questions for the county?
Yeah, we don't have it in front of us, but the comps that are coming, what's the age on those comps?
They're early 1900s as well. I tried to, I think I searched under 1950. I can't remember the range off the top of my head, but once you get that, you'll see they're relatively close in age.
Does this house is over 100 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Does that qualify as a historic property or something?
I'm not sure, possibly. I don't know anything about that personally, but it may be something he could look into for sure. Yeah, we only have the dwelling at $47 a square foot on this house. And that includes the garage too, so it's really less than that.
I can't speak in a great bit of detail about the historic properties, but they have to be enacted by a jurisdiction. The city, the county has to judge them to be of historic value, or the state, I think, even in some cases.
Thank you.
I think unless you want to live in a historic house, it's almost like a curse, because you got to abide by all the windows and doors and colors, and I mean it's roof. I mean it's
siding, cutting trees. I mean, there's a lot of houses that are on that street on up, because my son has worked over there, and you're limited to what you can do in that yard and to the house.
Yeah.
Well, I think we may be speaking two different things. There is a historic designation that actually calls for some tax deferment, and that's only a handful of properties in the county. There is a historic district in
Yeah.
the city that does have some restrictions.
Yeah.
They've imposed upon themselves, basically.
Have you been inside the house?
I've not been inside, no, just around the outside.
And you're rating it as a fair?
Yes, yeah, fair condition. Just based on the information I have, correct.
What's the next step down, fair minus?
No, be poor for condition. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Is he already getting the elderly exemption, or do you know?
I'm not sure. Are you? I'm not sure. I personally don't know.
Mr. McGee, do you know if you're getting the elderly exemption on your tax value?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know.
Okay. Can we look that up? Bill?
I could get somebody to check on it,
Okay.
so everybody's here.
Yeah.
But I can't find another house like that in that kind of location, you know, with the apartments around. Church problems there. But once that he pulled out of the computer, or no place near that, because the property is twice the size of the ones that he pulled out. I've got less than a quarter of an acre there, the ones he pulled out, about half acre. He's comparing it with.
I think that's all we have. You get the comparables.
The entrance to the historic downtown road, it's right there at that corner.
Okay.
Robin might could answer that about age. Income. Robin might answer that about age and income.
I know he's got a good value. 214 He's got a good value.
Hold on.
He should be grateful.
I think it's bring it back. I feel for him, but.
You know, it costs you $1 million to do
Thank you.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
that. Okay, thank you.
Robin, do you know if this gentleman is age deferred? Okay.
Well, did you provided Mr. McGee these comparables?
Correct, yeah, they were
Okay.
mailed to him, and then I hand-delivered them yesterday as well, just to
Okay.
make sure he had them. And just to point out, you can see on the depreciation, that's where we have it in fair condition. You can see the depreciation, it's depreciated a lot more than the other comps, because the comps are actually in average condition. There
Mhm.
were no fair condition comps, but we are making an adjustment for that.
No, sir, I don't see anything very quickly on here.
Do you know what, Robin, do you know what the typical percentage of value would be given him if he had an exemption?
It would be 50%,
How much?
50% of the property value or 25,000, whichever is greater. Again, the exclusion would be based on age and income.
Mhm.
And if I remember correctly, the income for this year, I can look again real quick, is 37,100. But no, I don't see anything on here.
So in order to get how would he go about proving to you if his income was less than the 37.5?
He would provide his tax return to us.
Okay. Mr. McGee, you understand that? I don't know what your income is, it's none of my business. But there is an elderly exemption available if you have the household income less than 37.5 per year right now. And that would include your retirement, interest income, rental income. I don't know if you have any rental properties. So if your total income is less than 37.5 for 2020, then you could apply for an elderly exemption. and get a good haircut.
Robin, does that income include Social Security?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Everything,
Everything.
yeah. Mhm.
That's a big.
Yeah, we've already updated the information for this year. But if, again, here, I mean, if I remember correctly, it was 37.1. Let me see what it is this year. So there you can see the exclusion is the greater of $25,000 or 50% of the property, whichever is
Right.
more. They have to be 65 years. For 2020, I stand corrected, it's 31,500.
31.5.
So the
Okay.
37,100 must be this year's, must be for 2022. Now, if he submitted his application today, we could bring a late application to the board, and you could approve it.
Okay.
We can't approve it because June 1st is the deadline
Okay.
for elderly. Would you like me to get a brochure for him?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll go do that.
All right, Bella, let's hear hearing number 2.
Tab number 2, parcel ID number 08324-085. Winman Reinhardt.
Is it Widman?
Yes, Rick
Whit-
Whitman.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good morning. It's already late. How you doing, sir?
It is. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well.
I'm here to discuss the valuation of my property. Also a licensed North Carolina builder. And I built this home in 2007. And at that time, it was assessed for $231,000 with a tax value of $1,600 a year. And this year, Union County is requesting $528,000 with over $5,000 in taxes. The issue that I want to raise today is in regard to the property itself. Brent showed me the assessed values of homes in the general area. And they were over $500,000. This house here with the land topography wouldn't qualify for that, and I want to show you why. Can I pass out some pictures?
If you like, yes, sir.
Okay.
Bella, can you get them for us? Thank you.
Oh, they're over here. They're over here. Sorry. Let me pass out this first picture first. Yeah, I think just to get a general idea of what we're looking at. Would you have a pointer where I could point something out on that picture there? Is that?
More than we do anymore, honestly.
No, I have to use my pen, that's fine.
Used to, but it's been a while.
You can just point. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
The property in back
Yep.
of that, it butts a golf course.
It does what to the golf course?
Beg your pardon?
You use the mouse.
Oh, okay. This property here is the second fairway on Emerald Lakes. And directly parallel behind that is the driving range. And directly behind that is the first fairway. So you basically have 3 fairways, and then you have the homes that are on that side with the country club off, if you're looking here, off to the right, and the green for the second fairway here. It's basically V-shaped, that property. The two fairways and the driving range. Okay. And the topography on the other side slopes entirely down. And when they originally built this development, they put a pipe that, if you can see on here, let me make sure, see if I can see it. There's a bridge. And right about here, there's a wooden bridge, and there's a creek that runs down that to a pipe which takes the water away. And for 7 years, when it rained or came heavy rains, everything was fine. The water would come, accumulate in that area, and then come down. About 5 years ago, the golf course decided that there is a huge berm at that time between the fairway number 2, which is the one that abuts my property, and the driving range, and then behind that was the first fairway, which there was no berm. And the berm consisted of probably 8 to 10 feet high, and also on each side trees with lots of shrubs. The golf course, for whatever reason they had in mind, they took it down about 5 years ago. And right around that time, the weather in the last 5 years has become increasingly more violent. And when you combine those two things with the amount of rain that you get on some of these downpours, and I'm not saying every one, I mean, normal rain, nothing really happens. But I mean, when you get a real violent for 20 minutes, it just pours. That happens, what you see there. That, what you were looking at in the picture, is approximately 6 to 7 feet deep. And I want to show you also, let's see if they, I'm missing one photograph here. Oh, here it is. This can show you the volume of water coming from the fairway to the bridge. You can see the bridge where the brook, where it goes under the bridge, and then you can see now when the water comes, it's coming in huge quantities on either side. What I've done as a temporary stopgap, I bought a high-powered pump, which has about, I think, a 4-inch nozzle on it. And, what I'll do is stick that and then I'll run that hose into the where the pipe is, and then pump it out over to where there's a huge drainage pipe. Then in my house, when it floods, it'll flood into the crawl space, and I'll run hoses from the outside into the crawl space to pump the water out. So I'm pumping the water out of the area outside the house, and then I'm pumping the water out of the crawl space. And then that water sometimes will stay there for a week, week and a half, until it's fully drained, and then the stench is just unbelievable when it's standing water. After the water goes, this is what's left. And over the course of the last few years, I've tried to get an estimate and of what something, to remedy it, and I've had different recommendations of one of building, oh good, you've got the large picture here, of building that's 227 feet across there, of building a concrete wall to run the span in the back here, this area here, from here to here. And at one point it'll be about 8 feet down from the ground and then up just to bring it level to the ground, I mean to level to the house. And then it kind of it would tier like this. And it would be reinforced concrete. And then they have what they call high density concrete, so that, because the concrete like I have in my home, when the water hits it, it goes through the concrete and seeps through on the other side.
Where's the water gonna go then?
But the water then would just stand like it stands now, and it would go out of the pipe eventually.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, nothing would change other than the wall, and it would stop. The issue I have is that standing water, when it's that deep, the pressure up against the house, this area here, I mean, you've got a wall of water that's that wide coming into to that one area where the pipe is. And the pressure of the water, when it's 7 or 8 feet deep on the bottom, is enormous. And it just walks its way underneath to the foundation of the house. And then I don't know exactly whether the water is coming in through the concrete wall or if it's going under the foundation and then up. Okay, I don't know that.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna build a dam, basically, out there. That's your plan.
Yeah. The other thing would be to dig totally around the house. I had a contractor come and say the best thing to do would be, he thinks that even if you put the wall up, there would then start, the penetration would then come under that wall and then seep its way through. And so he suggested to dig down to below the foundation, put in a lot of crushed stone, run a pipe around the house, and then have a well on one side where you put a sump pump, so that when the water hits a certain level, the sump pump kicks in and starts pumping the water out.
French drain.
Huh?
A French drain.
Yeah. And then I also had someone come and say, well, to be on the safe side, you need to take everything you've got in the crawl space out right now, because it's has algae and you know, it gets wet, it's dry. I haven't had it yet checked for mold, and get that cleaned out. Well, if I add all of that together, it's, depending on which contractor I'm talking to, you're talking $80,000 to $100,000 to do all of that. Because it's not new construction where I can easily get a backhoe into a certain area. Here I'm dealing with that 220, you can see the tree line, that I'd have, some of those trees have to come out. I literally have to disrupt my backyard. Same thing when I go around the house. I have to take the patio down. Got to take all the shrubs, air conditioning system, you know, that sits on the outside, sits, all of those things have to be, you know, taken into consideration, where if I had new construction, I wouldn't have to do any of that. And then I got to put it all back again, you know, so there's quite a cost involved.
Let's see if we got any questions for Ray. You have any questions for Mr. Widman?
Yeah, you've been in there since 2007,
Yes.
and this is the first year or two you've had this problem with the water?
No, the problem's been going, the problem started with the berm, which was I don't know exactly, 5, 6 years ago is when that started.
Okay.
And when they took the berm away, it was the first time we saw the wall of water come.
Who took the berm away? The golf course?
The golf course, yeah.
Well, aren't they doing anything now to correct that on the golf course side of the house? Nothing? Have you approached them about that?
I mean, they've been very nice. They talked to you and they said, well, And the other thing is changed hands in the last 5 years 3 times.
They didn't want to spend the money.
No, they were nice. They came in and they said, well, maybe, you know, the pipe is clogged. So they ran a snake in there, you know, to see, and there was.
Have any of your other neighbors had this problem other than you?
Yes. Not to the degree that I have it,
Okay.
but, I mean, nothing close to this.
Okay, thank you.
And the reason for that is if you look where the house is, it's on a turnaround. So the houses, when the water comes, these houses are set in, and mine is at the end of the cul-de-sac sticking out. So on the one end, that's where the entire slope, which I mentioned previously, comes down. If you walk it, you'll see it slopes, everything slopes down to the creek where they built the bridge. And the bridge is where the golf cart, the path, you know, the golf cart goes over the bridge instead of the brook.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mike, you got any questions? If you don't mind, we'll hear from the county and then give you a chance to ask more questions or make more comments.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And I don't know if I get my photos back too.
Oh, we're gonna keep those. They're no, we can get them back.
And if you need more photos, I've got lots more.
I think you did a good job.
So, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This property is located out in Emerald Lake. You see the clubhouse and the golf course right behind him. I spoke with Mr. Widman earlier this week on Monday and Tuesday. And that's when he started addressing the issues with the water coming up behind his house. In our conversation and discussing everything, no estimates were provided for cost to repair at that time. The pictures y'all saw this morning was the first time I saw those as well. And originally when he submitted the appeal on the informal level and we worked it, I ran the comparable sales report out in Emerald Lake. His value was at $548,300, and after running those sales out there for the 4 most comparable, I lowered his value to the $528,700. That's the value we're at today. But just with all those pictures and without a cost to cure that was provided in our previous conversation this week, no additional adjustment was made for that. So our value's at the $528,700.
Ray, you got any questions for the county?
So you lowered it 20,000?
Yes, sir. It was $19,600. That was based on the 5 most comparable sales out in Emerald Lake. They're all on the golf course, all golf course frontage lots. So very similar, and most of them are very similar in size because his house is over 4,362 square feet. So it's a pretty large home out there.
I forgot that we didn't ask what the taxpayers value.
It's on there, 434.
434, okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Mike?
Well, now that you've been made aware of the issue of flooding or topography, would you go out, could you go out and recheck it?
Yeah, I mean, we could. His estimates, they're not current estimates. They're from prior years, so I still don't know a good estimated value for a cure. I don't know if he's spoke with the golf course about that. I mean, just everything at the time of the appeal, none of that information was available.
Well, let me interject a bit here. Given the situation, the evidence presented today, I think there obviously is an issue. And typically in this situation, we take the market value less the cost to cure. And I think an estimate was given that sounded reasonable to me. So that is my suggestion, is take our market value and to subtract the cost to cure given by the taxpayer.
And that was, what did he say, 80?
I believe he said 80.
Depending on the contractors I work with, it was between 80 and 100. Now, I don't know what that is today. It certainly would be less.
Phil, based on what you just said, would that be a once this is fixed, would that be a one-time deal, or?
It would be until it's resolved, yes. And we'd flag in our system for a periodic review, and once it's resolved, it'd go back to the market value like all of the neighbors.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Belma.
Tab number 3, parcel ID number 01051009A. Brenda and Fred Dooling.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate your patience.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank y'all for, having us here. And I would like to think that our house is worth $550,000. But, I mean, I built the house, and it's all wood, and we have no carpet, no tile, no granite cabinets or nothing like that. We built the house to live in, to raise our kids and our grandkids. And the road we live on is, it turns to dirt right about in the middle of the property.
I've seen that. Where's R.A. Austin? What's the off of?
Pleasant Hill Church Road.
Yep, okay.
And to get to our house, you kind of like got to go through a trailer park, really. There's not but one nice house on that road. Most of the houses or 2 houses are not living in. The house right across the road has been empty for 10 years, and the barn has fallen down. But I think y'all got pictures of the road there and all the houses and mobile homes that are on our road.
Next to us, the houses.
And our house is only 2 bedrooms, got 2.5 baths, 2 bedroom, everything else is like, open.
You don't, I know you got 7 acres. I can't, it's not farmed or anything, is it? Or you got cattle or pastures or anything, or?
At pasture.
Pasture, yeah, okay.
And I thought about one time about, trying to do it as a farm to get the tax reduced, but I don't know how to do that.
You don't have enough land.
You gotta have,
I
what, 12?
think it's 10 acres or so, I believe.
10 acres.
Yeah.
So I got 12, but
Oh, okay.
one of them's a partial.
We have an A or a B. We divided it one time, thinking one of the kids wanted part of it, and then they built somewhere else. So now we're left with an A and a B, but it all comes up to, I think it's like 11.9.
11.95.
Yeah, so it's actually
Okay.
2 together.
Where your house would be 1 acre, that would take that out of it, so what you had left would be what you could put in.
But it has to be workable land, doesn't it?
Well, if it's already in pasture, it could be.
All of our land is rocky, gully, and goes from the road to the back at the back. It all slants. I don't know, you can't tell up there, but it all slants all the way downhill. It looks like we live on a mountain, kind of. And the house is here and everything is.
Yeah, standing on the back porch, you look like you're living in a mountain.
Yeah.
Well, you are in the URE range, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
The end of it, yeah.
Yes, sir.
But the inside of the house, I mean, compared to some of the other houses, our house has nothing inside of it compared to any house. I mean, there's no nice countertops or carpet or big bathrooms. I mean, with the big showers. We just have a little small box looking shower. I mean, and there's nothing on the inside at all except wood that the kids have rode tricycles or scraped up floors, but that's just the way it is. And to me, it's not comparable to.
Most of these other houses got, like at one house there in Rocky Mount, that's actually 10 miles from our house, and it's out in the country, just house by itself. And this one on Simpson Road, it's a really nice landscape level land.
They
And
have,
then they got ones over on Williamson Road. Those are paved driveways. It's like a little small housing development. Real nice houses. It was all, all new houses.
Ray, you got any questions for the Doolins?
Yeah, just interested, is that a metal roof on your house?
Yes, sir.
Mike, you got any questions for them? Well, if you don't mind, we'll hear from the county, then we'll give you a chance to ask questions or make statements before we conclude.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all for coming up. How you doing, Greg?
Hey, good morning. Y'all doing all right today?
Doing good.
Yeah, this is a unique property. It is a log cabin. It's at the, northern end of the county. And so, it's different. You don't have a lot of good comps, I would say, in that area that are, equal. But, we did run a couple different ways, and, I think the best ones, comps we have, we've provided. If you kind of look at the number 2 and the number 3 comp, both of those are average plus log cabins that sold in 2020. So those appear to be probably as close comps as we can find. Comps 2 and 3 are both in Piedmont School District. Now comps number 1 and comp number 4, they are in the Forest Hills, but it's still in that rural Marshall area. But looking at the land also, I was kind of looking at that. The subject is at $7,171 an acre. The other comps, the other 2 Piedmont comps are at $13,000, a little over $13,000 an acre. And then the 2 Forest Hills, they're around $8,000 an acre as far as the land. But
Now, Robin Bellman, I don't see the on this one, like the taxpayers or the tax office's new opinion of value. It's not on this.
it was a no change.
Oh, no change.
No change because.
So you think so? What it?
We the sales comparable report, that we ran, and we actually kind of, we tried it with several different comparables, but they all seem to support the assessed value of the home.
But to answer the chairman's question, the taxpayer on their appeal was $300,000. That's what I got on my sheet.
Right.
Their opinion and value.
300,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the former tax value is unchanged from the new tax value, based on the counties, right?
It was unchanged at the informal level. That's correct.
So the reevaluation in 2015.
Oh, the 2015 value? I can find that for you.
Yeah, it was 299.5. What Greg is saying is during the informal process, we made no adjustments to the value for the 2021 tax year.
So the new value is $299,500?
The $499,600 has been what was noticed, and we've made no adjustment to it since.
Okay.
That's correct. Like I say,
Often during the process, somewhere along the way, we discover new information, we run sales reports, that sort of thing. We'll come up with a adjusted value, an amended value. In this case, we had not.
Thank you.
And what was the value per acre you gave it? 7 what?
They have 7.07 acres. The land value is $50,700, so it comes out to $7,171 per acre.
Okay.
The comp number 2, the Rocky Mount, I say that is a a log cabin in, you know, as the crow flies, it's about 3 hours. I know 3 miles further away. It is about a 10-mile drive on those roads, but, you know, it's also at the very far northern end of the county, you know, close to the, you know, Oak Burr, Polkton, you know, Stanley Anson line up there.
Mike, you have any questions for the county? Ray? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tab number 4, parcel ID number 09399177 is a no-show.
Okay.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, can I ask one more question?
No, oh, absolutely. I thought that, I'm sorry, I thought that was coming from them. Come on up, Mr. Dillon.
This young man here was saying there's no change in the tax value, is that right?
Well, from there, in 2015, when it was last reevaluated, it was $299,500, but
Right.
explain that, Greg, how you,
Well, our assessment value, we did not change during the appeal.
oh, I got you.
During, you know, $499 and $600 is our assessment value, and, you know, through our reviews, you know, that our comparables support that value.
You understand that, Mr. Dillon? So what happened, when they reevaluated it, and then you appealed, they went and looked at it again.
Right.
And said, well, based on, even though you're appealing, they said, we're not gonna change our thoughts about what your property is worth from a tax valuation standpoint.
But these other houses, I mean, I don't understand all I know about this, but, you know, they got 3 and 4 bedrooms and altogether different land layout, different parts of town, and I don't understand how ours would be $499 or $550, whatever it is, and the one over in the cul-de-sac with the nice houses and driveways are less, but they want to compare that house to our house. I don't get that.
That's what, I live in the country, Mike does, I don't, you know, when you get out there and you know, I have a house that probably have a hard time getting somebody to compare it to based on what we built, and so I feel your pain there. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and, you know, like I said, the log houses are, you know, one's 10 miles and one's 13 miles. And they got on here 3.25, but a crow couldn't make it there in 3.25. I mean, it's all the way on the other side of Oak Burr.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank y'all.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Dillon. All right, Belma, go ahead.
Tab number 5 and 6 are going to be rescheduled. Moving on to tab number 7, parcel ID number 02083024, owner Beaver Dam Development, Inc.
How are you?
Good morning, I'm fine, hope y'all are.
Yes, ma'am. We saw you last year, didn't we? Welcome back.
Thank you. I hate to be here taking your time, but I do want to start by thanking every one of you for taking the time. I very much appreciate your role, and I appreciate your staff. Mass appraisals are not an easy thing to do. And the reason you're seeing me again is mass appraisals are not an easy thing to do. This is a problem that is not of your making, and it's not of the making of your current staff, and I'm not sure it's of the making of anybody in this room. I could probably take credit for causing the problem in part. This goes back to years ago when Union County was going to have a big industrial park in Marshville. And it goes back even before that when the mayor of Marshville wanted to have an industrial park and talked me into going into partnership with him to do it. As a result of which, we had the one of the few pieces of land in eastern Union County zoned industrial, and it just happened to be right where they were going to put Legacy Park for the county, and the county was going to work with DOT to have the bypass come in right there. So when y'all appraised it at $35,000 an acre, okay, find me a buyer. I'm all for it. Problem was that didn't happen. The bypass no longer goes north to that location. It's headed south, nowhere near there. And Legacy Park has sort of been forgotten by almost everybody except somebody like me that still suffers with visiting with you kind gentlemen every year.
Are you still letting Philip Austin work the land?
Yes, sir. It has never been anything but a farm.
Yeah.
It has never brought any money except as a farm.
I went by there last year when you appealed last year, I guess it was last year, which you're certainly welcome to do it again, but I'm familiar with the property, and then of course, right down the road, Stigall Lake from you, on the right, and
Yep.
I understand it just got sold. I won't chase a rabbit here, but.
Well, saving time, or trying to save you time, I did notice one mistake I made when I was talking about what I thought the property was worth. Your value comes out as one thing, and mine came out as $37.85, but that's per acre. I'm talking in per acre. I mean, if y'all want to appraise it at $37.85 for the whole tract, I'd take it in a heartbeat. But I really, $37.85 times the acreage is $238, $265.75. And that is based upon you got far more profitable property appraised, heck of a lot less than mine. And it's not that I'm thinking my property, I mean, I'd love to sell it, and I think it might legitimately sell at some point for more than $5,000 an acre.
How many acres is it right now?
62.95. So 62.95 times the $37.85 that a property with a heck of a lot more road frontage developed is appraised at. 238, 265.75 by my little calculator, which makes it, I think, a lot easier for you to view what I'm asking for favorably. And I'm not going to beat it to death because we beat it to death 2 years ago, or a year ago, whenever it was.
Yeah, whenever it was.
Yeah, but I'll just give you one for example. We sort of started off with this, the standard value $7,500 an acre, except the land on the road $12,000. I think every one of you will agree that land where you come into Marshville from the west is worth a heck of a lot more industrially than something on the east side of Marshville, almost in Anson County. If you look, and you know, I'm happy Wampler's there. I'm not trying to cause them trouble. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to. They're big enough. But the land on 74 is appraised more than mine, considerably more. But they have land that is part of their industrial complex on the other side of the railroad right behind their plant, that if you look at an aerial, it's industrial. And it's less than I'm getting asked to say mine's worth. And I'm like, nope, not working. There was a thing we talked about last year, and I won't beat it to death. On the record, it says it has no road frontage. I pointed out the last time that it has several times the road frontage that the Beaver Dam lot has. And it's on the west side of the town as opposed to almost in Anson County. So I think simply as a matter, and there's a piece right next to it that, okay, well this is a comp and we appraised it at more, but the same person actually owns developed land adjoining under a different name, which actually has a commercial building on it. So I can go through and take your time and point to you a number of properties that, wait a second, this doesn't compute. But I think the point about Wampler and about the land that we talked about last time, pretty much makes the point. And I just picked, okay, if this piece of land that's making really good money is worth $37.85 an acre and it's got 3 times the road frontage mine does, sounds good to me. If I thought I could sell it for anything approaching, tomorrow, I'd take the sale and we'd be happy. But the town rezoned a whole bunch of property, planning for the future. This is not the only industrial property in the town anymore. There's a ton of land that has been rezoned industrial so that the town gets to have more input on what happens to it. So it is not unique, and the fact that it was worth $35,000 should not be an influence on what it's worth today.
So we know it's zoned industrial, but I knew that Marshville lobbied hard to have the bypass come in before Marshville rather than after Marshville like it was originally planned. So what do you think your land is worth per acre as it sits today?
Well, I figure if land that is actually developed land with commercial type income is worth $37.85, and I can show you a tract that's the appraisal, that sounds good to me, per acre. And as I said, multiply that by the number of acres, it's not that far from what your staff came up with after they adjusted it. But I have trouble with having a value that's higher than comparable properties, because once upon a time I didn't challenge an appraisal that was way higher, and I really feel that's a lot of it, because, well, it was worth that, why isn't it still worth that? Well, when it's the only piece of land that's zoned industrial, it's worth a heck of a lot more than when everything gets rezoned.
So what's the answer to my question? What do you think it's worth per acre?
$37.85.
3,700.
$3,785.
Okay.
And you can look at a piece of land that we talked about last time at length, and that's what it was worth. And mine had about 1,000 feet of road frontage, and that one had closer to 4,000.
So you're at $238,455.
Something in that neighborhood, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna argue down to the last penny or even the last dollar, because your time's valuable, and I have things I'd rather do than this, play with grandkids, for example. But I do feel like I have to say something. When we started at $12,000 an acre for the road frontage, and I can show you all sorts of similar properties that's not happening. And it's because you had this big rezoning, and all of a sudden farmland is now industrial. And I can appreciate the people that have been sitting on that farm all those years do not want to see it revalued as industrial, because they didn't want it industrial in the first place.
There's no, never mind. I'm looking at one map and I'm looking, okay, I said, no, never mind.
But I'll be
Any
happy
questions,
to.
Mike, for Ms. Schubert? Ray? Well, we'll hear from the county, then I'll give you a chance to make your last comments or statements. Thank you.
All right.
And Joe,
Sure.
So, does this land front on 74 or front on the railroad track?
It has frontage on the railroad and on Stegall Road.
Yeah, but it don't front on 74.
It does not front on
Okay,
74.
okay. All right, sorry, Joe.
Oh, that's fine. You'll see in your packet, the back part of it is my response. What I did is we've done it before, and we've looked at all these before, and so I went back and I put together kind of a grid to try to just point out all the different things that we're looking at, and the grid corresponds with a map. So if you, on your grid, if you're looking at, say, comp number 4, then you have two maps, because I couldn't make it small enough, one of the maps will have a number 4 on it, and that is the parcel that it will correspond with. And so what I did is I went back, all the ones that Ms. Schubert had used as comparison, and I looked at them, and we're always up to, changing something if it's, if we haven't done it properly, if we've made a mistake, and we're humans, we do make errors. But of all the comparables that I looked at, there was one that I found that just didn't get priced right, the land didn't get priced right, and the other ones all had every single one of those you'll see an orange, kind of yellowy orange highlight in one of the boxes. That's the things that are wrong with comparing this property with these comparables. So like, like that Wampler piece, I know it's a 80-90, it's split, but at the same time, we value that tract as by itself, and all that property is across the way you access that property. It's backland, back behind the railroad track. You have to go over the railroad track to get to the front piece that leads on to 74. So that's just one of the things. A lot of the comparables that we're looking at, comparable 6, 7, 8, they are partially zoned residential. In fact, not just partial, but a great deal of it. Comp 6, you got 62 acres that are zoned residential and only 53 of industrial. And so you can't really compare that to what we have our property appraised at. Same thing, comp number 7, 71 acres residential, only 14 acres industrial. Same thing, comp number 8, 32 acres residential, 30 acres industrial. Some of these properties even had, abnormal shapes that would limit the desirability of the property. And I also looked at just the ones that are surrounding us. And of course, we're at $8,214 an acre overall. The front 10 acres, I have at about $12,000 an acre, and the back part at $7,500, which is a standard rate that we have, anywhere from $7,000 to $7,500 an acre for the industrial land in that area. The property adjoining us is back property. It's at $7,500 an acre total, but the only way you can access and get to Highway 74 is through, it looks like maybe a right-of-way. So it doesn't have the frontage that we have, and it has some flood zone. So we felt like that was equitable. We're equitable if we compare it to that. If we look across the road from us, we have a 25-acre tract, $14,339 an acre. Smaller size, we felt like that was, we're equitable from that standpoint. And like I say, there's one property in there that we had that it just was a pricing error. But overall, we feel like that we're at $517,100, and what was asked was $238,265, which would be a slightly under residential rate. The standard rate is $4,000 an acre to $4,800 an acre for residential, and we're talking about industrial property. So that's why we're here. We just couldn't come together on how much we're looking at on the dollar per acre.
Any question for the county?
That's a tough one.
It is.
Because you're at about $8,200 an acre. And, that's all I have, Randy.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I think I asked you last year, or the year before, excuse me, but certainly it would be nice if somebody came along and some industry and wanted to buy it and it's properly zoned. But have you thought about rezoning it back to farmland?
Well, there are a couple of things about that, and one of them is that the town assured everyone when they were doing the rezoning, I know this is not you making that assurance, but this was what was told, that the people that got zoned industrial, it wasn't going to affect their rate until it was industrial.
Uses industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And given that, going to the cost of doing it, because the town would like to have it developed industrial. And honoring my former partner's wishes, I would like to see it developed industrial. But wishing and wanting doesn't produce a buyer anytime soon, and they have a lot more choices now. And since this is in the farm program, in fact, I just got the little notice I need to have fill out the form again, and I called him earlier this week to get that done. If it should sell, it will have a higher penalty than land that is not assessed so high, because you get a 3-year look back. He mentions one property that has a pricing error. Yeah, that's the one we talked about a lot last time, because it had a lot of errors, including a statement on the file that there's no road frontage. So it may be a pricing error, but it's not one that's a surprise to anybody in this room that was here the last time. So that pricing error is what, you can call it a pricing error, but why would I be treated differently from someone else?
Phil, what was, I know, what bag did we arrive at a year or 2 years ago, whenever she came before us before?
It was 2019, so it was 2 years ago.
5,000 an acre, and it was arrived at after it was appealed to the state.
Right. You gentlemen made a value, it looks like 1.3 million. BR decision based on surrounding value and tax comps provided by the appellant, $22,000 an acre, 1.3 million. Then it went to the PTC, it was lowered to $314,800 by PTC order.
So she went to the next level above us.
Yes.
And how much acre was that?
Do the math here. And just step aside, I don't know if it was, assumed he was coming back. 62.8 acres.
62.95.
And I think it was 5,000 an acre, and actually, that was not the state's decision, that was the compromise reached with your staff, so we could just go our separate ways.
It was 5,000 an acre, and while it was agreed, we agreed to it, it was a state road.
And I'm sorry that I did not have the material that Joe was talking about to specifically talk about the different pieces, but I do have a picture I can show you, and he says that the Wampler land, well, it's not on 74, and it's only accessible through another property. Well, the Wampler land is accessible through the other property because it's an integral part of the lot that's on 74.
Okay.
And I have, showing the tracks, and I have the aerial showing how the access is from the light at the main entrance, and it goes right through to all this stuff, which sure does look kind of important to their plant, but it's not as important as the original number that I got stuck with. It's like, no.
Phil, you mentioned 5,000 an acre. When was that?
That was a 2019 Property Tax Commission order for the 2015 value, what of course rolling back to 2015 time frame.
Okay, thank you.
And they did that based on local staff's recommendation, and the property hasn't gotten more valuable since then relative to the property on the west side of town. I mean, there's no way a property on Stegall Road behind a railroad crossing that is frequently blocked because it's single track there is worth more than property on the west side of town. And that's the reason I'm here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And like I say, No problem with your staff,
All right.
great people, and I appreciate you because you've got a thankless job. But without you, it doesn't work. So,
Thank you, Ms. Fern.
Thank you.
good luck with it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tab number 8, parcel ID number 09342-137B is a no-show. Tab number 9, I'm sorry, let me take that back. Tab number 8 is a staff recommendation, accepted. Tab number 9 is a withdrawal, parcel ID number 06147-058. And that's all what we had.
Okay,
So we're ready to start deliberating.
all right.
All right.
Hearing number 1.
Hearing number 1, parcel ID number 092344100.
I personally think Mr. McGee is getting favorable value as it is, and I would suggest that we leave the tax office opinion of value of $214,600 as is. Do I hear comments or recommendations or motions?
I make a motion, we leave it as tax office.
I've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you.
And you don't know if this guy's gonna meet the,
No, I don't. I had Angie come in with the
Yeah.
application and the brochure, and I asked her to ask him that if he was interested in it, to work directly with her. And as I said earlier, if he does meet it, his application would be denied by us because it's late, but then he could bring it to the board, and then it would be your discretion whether you wanted to, approve it or not. So
okay.
there's the potential. But
Good.
no, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know what his income would be.
Hearing 2?
Hearing number 2, parcel ID number 083248085.
I feel sorry for him in the fact that his property, I know right where his house is had, I've hit some golf balls in his backyard. But, the developer probably had it situated originally where the water didn't affect his property, but they made some changes. And now, just like I heard him say it, and I can believe it, he'd go blind trying to find who's responsible and having them fix it. So now he's responsible for fixing it. So I was doing some quick math. I'd like to give him based on, he said 80 to 100. I'd like to give him a haircut down to a 15% haircut from what the county thinks, $528,700. If we drop that value 15%, that's $449,395, a little bit higher than what he thinks his property's worth. But he's got a situation where he can't sell that home. Nobody would buy that home for what it's actually worth based on, this, over 4,000 square feet. But if they did research and looked at the backyard, they couldn't sell it. So then he's got to come at his expense do some things to where he's going to spend 80 to 100 grand to take care of the water problem. So I don't think I think we give him a little bit of break. That's my opinion.
I thought about that too, and I think staff recommended or suggested that whatever we do today would be a one-time deal.
Until he does the
Gets
improvements.
fixed. The problem I have, he comes in here and tells us it's 80 to 100. I can't believe that. He didn't come in here with any paperwork showing an estimate. I'd go 50, but I'm not willing to go 80 to 100,000. I just don't believe it costs that much to fix this problem. And I don't mind a one-shot deal. I'm just saying, he didn't have any proof in hand that it's gonna cost $100,000. That's my opinion.
And good thought. I did the math on that too. And so if we did a 10% haircut, which is basically what you're saying, 50, that's a value of $475,830. What do you think, Mike?
I don't see how he could get it done for less than 80 to 100. you know, everything's ridiculous now. And the amount of work is gonna have to be done. He said trees probably have to be taken out.
Sure.
Access to it, and it's gonna be pretty extensive, what he's gonna have done to keep that water out there. You know, it took a berm to stop it before, so.
Why don't we split the difference and go 75,000?
Well, that's the math in.
That's a bit, your math.
Yeah, 15% haircut is basically, is $449,395.
Okay.
You make that form of motion?
Yes, sir.
Here's a second. Phil, you got that?
Just not to be too pedantic, but if we could make that 400, I can make that work in our system. Everything rounds to 100.
You mean 500?
400, 449, 400.
So you want to make it 450? What are you saying you want to round?
Just so you round to 100. I can't get to a dollar. I can get to any 100 amount.
So 449,500.
Perfect.
449,400 is what he's suggesting.
Perfect. I understand that. I got you now.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
can't go to a individual.
So I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
449,400.
Let me, I'm gonna do some quick math on Mr. Doolin here. Let me get back to that one. I had a theory here while he was. All right, here's early math, and you can certainly, I said, what I did, I gave his home a $100 square foot value. Based on, I gave his land 71 value per acre. And then I used the other improvements, 30,220, the math on this thing. So that's an early value of 363,119. Of course, but I don't, I just don't think his place is worth $500,000, you know, down there.
So you're being an adjustment on the land, basically?
Just basically where it's at, what he's got. I mean, I don't, you know, you sit there, would you go down there and give $500,000 for a house that's 2,800 square feet in a small pasture? You know.
It's a log cabin, right?
Yeah, it's a log cabin.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, that was 361.
Oh, I'm running around now.
What kind of figure? What kind of figure?
Hmm?
What's the figure?
Well, if you do the early math, it's 363,119, or,
200. 363, 200.
yeah.
I agree with you. It's, where he's at, I don't see $500,000 in that place.
Mm-mm.
I make a motion, we put the value at 363, 200 for his property.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, thank you. 363,200.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do I do the no-show? Or just do that? All right, the schedule one. We have number 7. Hearing number 7, parcel ID number 020830.
Let's go with 4.
Four.
Let's vote on 4. No show?
Oh, okay, the no-show, okay.
Yeah.
Hearing number 4, parcel ID number 09399-177. It was a no-show.
Do I hear a motion that we stay with the county's evaluation of that property?
Make a motion.
Got a motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second from Ray. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, now let's go to 7.
Okay. Hearing number 7, parcel ID number 02083024.
PTC/county staff recommendation of 5,000 an acre sounds reasonable to me, but.
You know, you talking about, this is what I call prime farmland. And most of it's being farmed. He's got a few acres there, but isn't farmland going 7,500 acres, or something like that? I mean, what are you thinking?
They got mine valued at $9,000 an acre,
I mean,
which I think is ridiculous, but I had to pay it, you know.
uh,
Now, I'm in the farm program too. It's business being industrial. Can this lady not qualify for the farm program?
no, she'd have to
She'd have to have it rezoned to
then
do
go
that.
for it, yeah.
And she's not willing to do it.
No, because she don't want to lose industrial, because
Well,
it's going to be hard to go back.
She can't have one,
Well, that's what
I mean, you know, you,
Mr. Chairman, if I could interrupt, I'm
Please.
sorry. This is in the farm program.
what,
This property is in the farm program. It doesn't make any difference what it's zoned. She is currently in the farm program.
okay.
So she, and she made that statement during her testimony, that it is in the farm program, that she does, you know, get the benefits of a farm.
At 5,000 an acre, right now.
Well, I don't know what the acreage count is, but, or what the value is. Is it 5,000? It's higher than that, right? That was the PTC.
That was the previous, the 2015, after going to the Property Tax Commission, it was the market value was 5,000 an acre.
So that's
Yeah.
314,750 total of what she's being taxed at in that right now.
Well, that's the assessed value, the market value, again, her assessment is farm use, so 350 an acre or something, whatever. it
Oh,
is.
yeah.
So the market and the assessed are two different animals in this case.
So you're at $8,200 an acre now, roughly.
Well, I think that's what I factored.
8214, yeah.
We did value the frontage more than the rear for industrial purposes.
so with the farm exemption, is this the number she's getting billed for
Yeah, well, yeah,
with the farm exemption?
with the farm. Yeah, so Robin, Mike had a good question. So at the 517,100, that's considering that she's in the farm program.
No, sir, that should be the value, her market value. We don't put assessed value.
It's two different animals. So we have a market value. Totally divorced from that is if they do or do not qualify for farm use. We don't even consider that when we value.
So-
the appraisal side values the property.
So there's two figures.
There are.
So what's she gonna be taxed at?
I can pull it up for you, sir.
Okay.
currently, the market value is 82,
14.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that comes out to the 5,017,100. Let me get over to a tax bill. And I think that'll show it, and I think I got off of us, got it.
Confusing, because if she's not that, that ain't the number she got on her bill, I'd like to know what she is getting. I mean,
That's fair.
maybe she don't have a gripe, you know.
She's, yeah.
And I'm sorry, Belma, what's that parcel number?
Oh, sure.
02083024.
But just to, you know, in her defense, well, that is what should be taxed at this year if it was taken out of the program. She had to pay all this back taxes. So it is relevant.
I got you, yeah.
And that's what she said, the look back, that's what she would have to pay on the rollback if the property came out of the program. But it's been in the program.
It's a 3-year look back.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Current plus 3.
But, you know, I've been in it for, everybody knows that. You know,
Yeah,
when it's in that farm program, if it's sold or changes hands, you got to go back 3 years
And pay the.
pick up whatever it was valued at that time. That's understood.
And it's my understanding that she's been in the farm use program for a long time.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can find this for us. So the land value last year was $23,800 for the 62 acres.
What?
That's at the use, the farm value.
Yeah, you asked me how much is the land based on use value.
Is that a per acre? Or is it?
No,
That's the entire, that is what the value she is paying tax on because it's in farm use. It's like $300 an acre.
last year with her 1 acre, her home, and her acreage, she paid $194.02 in tax on this property.
So is this farm value exemption based on what's the basis for it? Is it based on what we come up with here as a?
No, we have a schedule of values for farm property, just
Okay.
like we have a schedule of values for, non-farm property, like residential, industrial, commercial, whatever. And my team adopts the schedule of values for the farm value based on rents provided by the state of North Carolina.
Okay.
So why was she in here today? What was she arguing? The look back, the look back?
It's the look back.
The back,
It
look
really
back.
isn't.
She's arguing the look back.
Yes,
That's
sir.
her potential
Well,
downside.
she guessed, her and Charles Harvey Griffin guessed wrong originally because they went out there and bought that property thinking that, I heard her say, but they had the capability to look and see where that bypass was coming, and they bought the property based on that early projection, and then it didn't work out that way. Which people do that. But she's not arguing what she's paying now. She's arguing the potential look back.
Well, again, there are 90% of property in this county, there's a market value, period. And that's what people come in here and discuss. This use value, there's a market value and there's a use value, and they are vastly different values. So, yeah, effectively, her concern is if this property were to sell, we could go back and collect the difference 3 years.
No.
Mr. Chairman, if you look on your screen, the top value is the assessed land value for 2021, 2020, and 2019. And then below that, you see the market value information for 2021, 2020, and 2019. So there's the comparison between what the market value is and what the assessed value is.
So Phil, explain that to me. Regardless of what we do here today, if we keep it at 3 to 517, Robin said correctly that you have a separate value for farm.
What she had to.
Well, whatever you do today is gonna have no impact on the taxes she pays this year. It's in this other universe.
Gotcha.
Can it potentially have impact on what she could pay if it changed hands? Yes, it could. Because then we take it out of that universe and pull it back into what would the market dictate.
Gotcha, thank you.
And like Mike pointed out, this property has been in use value for years.
You know, she wouldn't take, in my opinion, 7,500 an acre for it. She'd want more than that. So what's farm down your way? What's the farmland going for per acre?
I can,
Yeah.
well, I guess that depends on where it was at, but my tax value on mine is $9,000 an acre. That's the front, the road front, and 20 acres back, and it's still $9,000 an acre. That's what now I'm in the farm program, so I don't pay on that, but.
Well, here's my math. I think, and certainly for discussion, 7,500 an acre is 472, 125. I think it's worth it. Now, you know, and that gives her a little bit of haircut. Whether that makes her feel any better or not, I don't. But you know, I hear stories of like Frank Howey and some of the Starnes guys buying this land, selling the pulpwood, clearing it, and you know, giving 3,000 or 4,000 acre for land that is not farmable, and then making it farmable and selling it, you know, for much higher value. But what do you guys think? I mean,
I think that's fair.
I do too.
okay, I hear a motion.
The motion is 75.
So the motion is for 472, 100.
Make a motion for 472, 100.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. I guess we go to staff recommendations.
We have number 9, which was the withdrawal.
Okay.
Parcel ID number 06147058.
Do we need to vote on that?
Oh, no,
No, we need to vote on the staff recommendation for
number 8, I'm sorry. Okay. Parcel ID number 093421337B.
Let's just take them all at one. Can we take them all at one time? Staff recommendations?
Yes.
Let's
Sure.
do it.
Tab number 8, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are staff recommendations.
Do I hear a recommendation, we accept staff recommendations, or hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Mike made a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ray, second by Ray. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And 13, 14 would be informal staff recommendations.
Do I hear a motion that we accept the informal staff recommendations?
Make a motion.
Mike made a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ray. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Do you hear a motion, we adjourn?
Adjourn.
Make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, that was an interesting day. Are we meeting Thursday, Belma, or just is it,
This is it for this week.
this is it?
Wednesday this week.
Just Wednesday next week.
I thought you gave him a lot of leeway.
Wednesday and Thursday next week.
Mr. McGee, this is.
Yeah, he just home now. Yeah, he's got a steal there.
He got a deal.